it is not different than before. It is exactly the same. If they are taking this war to the end, they're going to decide who's going to lead Iran, because they need a leader there that's in line with the US government and also in line with Israel. So they're not going to let anyone run Iran without their permission. So is Russia and China involved in the Iran war? No. Well, Iran is an ally of Russia, but directly, not directly. I read some articles today that Iran was letting some ships go through that were going to China and Russia, but I haven't read enough to say about that topic to say if it's credible or not. Let me see one thing before we continue. That's fine enough. But China and Russia are kind of just sitting back and letting US destroy the rest of their credibility. Not a good thing for Ukraine, for example, because Ukraine was kind of relying on the US a bit. And now if you can't even rely on US to uphold the law, who can? Oskari, thanks for the 21 months already. That's a long, long time. Mitä Mikko Hyppösellä kuuluu? Come on!
Good afternoon, everyone.
We have Caroline lying with having a press conference. Epstein files are unimportant. No, they're not. I mean, think about what you just said. Think about what you just said. You think that a child sex trafficking ring and investigating that is unimportant. Think about what you just said. This is the thing also around the internet. You should just sit back for a second before you write something. So the Ukraine war over? Nope. No, it's not. No, it's not. I just love that somebody in the chat during the initial Iran war stream called this the Epstein war, that years from now when they're writing history books, they're going to refer this period of time as Epstein wars. Trump had nothing to do with Epstein. Michael Barnett, you might want to also think before you write anything.
Under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump.
All right, let's listen to Caroline. I'm lying a hell a lot with.
Rogue Iranian terrorist regime is being absolutely crushed.
Epstein wars. No. Epstein wars is borrowed by one of the viewers a few days ago. I just love that. It would be hilarious if this comes out in the future that Trump actually did this because of Epstein. I don't think so. I don't think this is a distraction from Epstein, but I do think it's a hilarious name for the period of time that we're living.
47 years of tolerating and enabling the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism are over. Iran's murderous terrorist leaders are paying for their crimes.
If Ukraine don't get
against
help,
America,
USA is the war
and they
not
are
over.
paying in blood.
No,
Since
they're still
1979,
defending.
The terrorist Iranian regime.
That's silly to think that. No, it's not. Do tell me what he did with Epstein. He partied with Epstein. He flew Epstein's plane. He was good friends with Epstein. I mean, Michael Barnett, this is not a secret. Holy fucking shit. This is not a secret. You do know that Trump was friends with Epstein. He cut ties with Epstein, but he was a friend with Epstein. Investigate how Epstein was killed. Less hints, I do agree with you. There should be a bit of a more thorough investigation. He did do it for distraction. Where are you reporting from? No, Teresa. I would love to think that, but even Trump can't be that fucking... I mean, he can be that stupid, but I want to think that he is not that fucking dumb. He reported him to the law. Oh my God, but he was a best friend, Michael. Michael, can't you read? If you can't read, there's also documentaries about it. So you can listen. There's audiobooks about it. So if you don't know all the facts about relating to Epstein and all the files, and you haven't covered about the files, and you haven't investigated at all regarding Trump's connections with Epstein. Bill Clinton was his best friend. Trump called Epstein one of his best friends. I'm not talking what Epstein thought. $1,000 say you never mentioned Epstein till 2025. I think the first time I had a discussion of Epstein was during the trial. Like before, way before, yeah, during the trial of Epstein. Because then that was like big news about like Prince Andrew and everything. So where did Epstein get his money and influence? Good question. So how will Ukraine get help from, if not USA? EU is providing some help. Not a lot, but some. Not enough if you ask me, though.
As actively and intentionally.
But it is baffling that there's still people who don't know about like Trump's relationship with Epstein. It is well documented. Cap for life. Hey, what a pro. Do you have a podcast? Unfortunately, and fortunately not. I do enjoy these more than podcasts, that I can interact with you guys in the chat and I can have a conversation. Even though I do love to speak, but... Epstein knew everyone at the top. How? Well, through powerful people. He was a real estate mogul, and he knew a lot of rich and powerful people. Also, from the files, we all, according to the previous prime minister, no, the previous president of Israel, there's hints that Epstein had some relations with Mossad as well. So if Epstein had some relations with Mossad, that would explain that he knew a lot of powerful people. Trump flew on his plane 8 times before the island. But Michael Barnett, that's not what you said. You said that Trump didn't have anything to do with Epstein.
Facilitated the killings of Americans. They chant death to America and fund other radical terrorists who attack our country and are seeking to destroy Western civilization itself. These terrorists seized our embassy and took 66 Americans hostage in Tehran. They slaughtered 241 U.S. service members with a truck bombing in Beirut. They killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. And this is just a small fraction of their blood-soaked record. Prior leaders have been too weak and ineffective to address this threat. Some, like Barack Hussein Obama, even sent pallets of cash that ultimately financed this terrorist crusade against the United States and our people, while signing stupid and naive deals that put Iran on the path of developing nuclear bombs. After years of endless appeasement and empty statements from politicians on both
I like listening to you because I feel you have...
In this town,
I mean,
President Trump is...
If you just report and be on the side of humanity, like, that's really easy. We were talking about this yesterday, like, being consistent is quite easy when you're always on the side of human lives. If you need to tiptoe around because your leaders are telling you something else, then you have like inconsistencies. For example, people who I was on the side of Iranian people toppling the regime. But then on the other hand, a lot of people who were all of a sudden on the side of Iranian people, and they didn't know that the regime has treated them badly for multiple decades. Because MAGA all of a sudden changed their mind. Well, when I'm talking about MAGA, Trump changed his mind about Iran. a lot of right-wingers started to root for the Iranian people. But then when you all of a sudden bring up like, well, if you're on the side of Iranian people because the regime is killing and treating them badly, you must be on the side of Palestine because Israel is doing the exact same thing. All of a sudden their hypocrisy is shown. That's a completely different topic for them and they can't function anymore. Their brains completely fucking stop working. And that's the one thing that the whole Iranian revolution and now Iran war has kind of proven, that people have the memory of a goldfish. Trump was one of the biggest advocates of like criticizing Obama, for example, that Obama wanted to start a war with Iran and Trump was against going to Iran. That changed when Trump increased his ties for foreign interest groups. So it's World War III. I don't think this is yet a full-blown World War III. This is just like another Gulf War. Not even a Gulf War. This is like Iran war. My wish for Iran, the woman that they be free. I do share that, but I'm not optimistic because regime change has never worked. At least for the past 30, 40 years. The United States track record of regime change is kind of horrible.
Finally, the man of action. President Trump is holding these monsters accountable and permanently extinguishing their nuclear ambitions.
That's interesting coming from Carol and Lewitt that they had nuclear ambitions, considering like UN watchdog didn't find any traces of that for 2 times. And even the United States can't prove that they had nuclear intentions. This is Iraq again. Even though when the United States went to Iraq, they didn't directly claim that they have nuclear weapons, but they just made a blanket statement of weapons of mass destruction. I think Trump should have used that as well, but then again, I do think that they learned from the past that they don't want to affiliate with the Iraqi war. That ended horribly. Why does Western media behave like state media? All evidence points to them not having those ambitions. I mean, they need to make excuses, and they need to scream those excuses loudly. They have hypersonic missiles. And your point is, didn't the IAEA state that Iran enriched uranium to 83? I saw the highest was 60%, but might be that they're higher numbers now reported. That was coming from the United States itself. Like they were saying that it was like 60% enriched uranium. Iran just confirmed. Iran didn't confirm that they had enough. They said that they had. It's like that, you know, when Trump had that whole Twitter war with Kim Jong-un, talking about the sizes of their rockets and buttons back in 2017 or 18, when they were having that TikTok war. That my rockets are bigger than your rockets and my button is bigger than your button. It's the same thing when Iran is like boasting about like how big their how many nuclear weapons they can build within a 24-hour period of time. That's just like talking shit. The Americans are not frozen anymore. They probably will. We'll be talking about Netanyahu quite soon, so any war in the Middle East ends horribly. Every single war in the Middle East ends horribly. Good evening, Grindery. Well, Dr. Duncanstein. Are you American? No. Guess Iran should have not talked. I mean, if talking about things is permission to attack them, by all means, like that's a really that's a bad negotiator then. Like Trump said it. I can pull up you that quote from Trump stating that the Obama administration is a bad negotiator. Just a second, I'll find it. Trumpy, Trumpy, Trump.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start a war with Iran. Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no
I let this
ability
run
to
a few
negotiate.
times.
He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start a war with Iran. Our president will start.
I'll let it
war
run
with
one more
Iran
time,
because he has absolutely
so that
no
the people in the
ability to
back also
negotiate.
hear this.
He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start a war with Iran.
Do we want to hear that one more time, or? Donald J. Trump also tweeted in November 11, 2013, "Remember that I predicted a long time ago that President Obama will attack Iran because of his inability to negotiate properly, not skilled." So, if Trump needed to attack Iran because he couldn't negotiate them, so wouldn't that make him as bad as Obama? I'm not a Democrat, and I don't hate America. Pointing out that Trump is not a good president doesn't make me hate America. Freezing was because of his shacking video of this lovely couple. Should we try again? We had to go through all the dumb shit Democrat presidents. We always love it. Our troop. I mean, I can believe, Piccolo, your point there immediately when politicians send their own kids to the front line. If they're actually like on the side of that this war is a good thing, then they are willing to send their own kids there, right? Like Barron Trump, Donnie Jr., Eric, Mike Johnson's kids, all the Democrat leaders' kids, all the like. It's funny, Piccolo, that you're attacking liberals immediately, but you're like skipping GOPs. I think every single politician's kid should be the first one to send. Like, that would instantly stop every fucking war. The Iran war would not happen if their own kids would be in danger. Yes, like the good old days. But then again, Barron Trump probably would create bone spurs and he wouldn't need to go there. Just like Daddy. Maybe we should send the politicians themselves to fight. I think that would be fun. So instead of like killing their own citizens, we could just send the politicians there. Do you think Iran should have nukes? I don't think anyone should have nukes. But the best way to protect your country at the moment, because that utopia that I want to have, that nobody would have a means of destroying the world, but because that utopia isn't reality at the moment, the best way to protect your country from invasion of foreign countries attacking you or trying regime change is actually nukes. If they want to have nukes, I don't want Israel to have nukes. I don't like Pakistan to have nukes. India, United States, Russia. 1 versus 1 duels would be also okay. Trump versus Putin, and in this case, it would be Trump against whoever's left in the Iranian government. I'm here, thanks for the follow. Check it out, very interesting interview. Which one? Operation Epstein Fury. Oh my god, that's gonna be the next title. Oh god, that's gonna be the next title. Operation Epstein Fury. Boy, you think you're high and mighty and powerful. Kevin, please do tell us that you want war and you want people to die. And you would be willing to send your own kids to the front line to die. Go for it. I'm waiting. Oh yeah, Kevin was the one that was super mad that I'm not American and I'm talking about America. Oh yeah, true. Google Map crater Israel. Iran is only who was not. You don't even know what the Epstein files were really about. I heard France brought in their nuclear aircraft carrier. NATO might be getting involved. That would be interesting if NATO didn't learn anything from the past. Like sucked into a war for false premises. I would think that NATO would be smarter than that. So you think Iran should have nuclear weapons? I mean, if everybody is having nuclear weapons at the moment, then they could have nuclear weapons. What I said was, JC, I think there's something in your ear. What I said was, my opinion is that no one should have nuclear weapons. Do I need to repeat myself? No one should have nuclear weapons means to destroy the fucking civilization. But that utopia is not reality. And in this reality, if a country wants to have nuclear weapons, there's other countries that have nuclear weapons. If they go and let the fucking people who are inspecting it inside and like monitor it, go for it. You know, the MS Now interview I just mentioned with the Iranian Defense Foreign Minister. I don't know where the fuck that comment went. I can't see that comment. MS Now interview. That wasn't the question. Do you think Iran should have nukes? I answered you. I answered you. I said this in this utopia. Yes, Iran could have and should have nukes as well, because everybody else is having nukes. JC is just trying to like fucking bullshit catch up. It's not supposed to be fair. Do you want our enemies to have advantage over us? I mean, if you didn't treat every single country as your enemies, you wouldn't have that many enemies, you know? Maybe you need to change your perspective how you're watching things. If you're creating enemies and you're treating people as enemies, calling them enemies. You know? Exactly, Ayman. That was my original argument. No one should have nukes. And all of us in the chat here, around the world, all the people around the world should revolt to their fucking governments, to their leaders. We should have leaders that agree to give up nukes. When you flee from a wolf, you run into a bear. Hey, thanks for this 50 Swedish kroner, Captain's Log. The minister said they have enough uranium to make 10 nukes. Yeah, I think I saw a similar interview like earlier about them. But again, we have a government that's tending to like lie and spread propaganda. I take like half of what Iranian government is saying as truth. It's the same with the US, you know? So hold hand and sing Kumbaya. Yes, exactly. We live in the world. We live in 2026. We've seen so much death, destruction, atom bombs. We've seen concentration camps. We've seen multiple genocides. You would think that humanity would evolve. You would think that we've learned something from the history. Do you even care about the victims or just caring one person's name is guilty? If one person's name is guilty. What the fuck are you talking about? Are we now jumping into the Epstein? If they had nukes, exactly, East Coast Dawn. If they had nukes, Trump wouldn't have bombed them. How you doing, my European friend? Greetings from New York. What up, Inhumane Society? Hopefully you're doing well. Do you believe that the Iraq war would have been justified if they found... I mean, at least then they would have told the truth, but they were trying to do a regime change, so I wouldn't think so. Is Larry Ellison being talked about yet? Do we want to talk about Larry Ellison? Larry Ellison is the biggest individual, one of the biggest individual donors of IDF. So Larry Ellison, by default, donating millions to IDF to bomb civilians, children, and women in Palestine, Palestinian and in Gaza. So by default, Larry Ellison has blood on his hands. He has directly funded genocide by himself from his own wealth. Larry Ellison is a horrible human being. He's also a biggest donor of Trump's campaign as well. Yeah, that kind of goes in hand, right? You all are on the list now. Better run on install Tails. What are you talking about? What list? And we have seen Mammy. We have seen Mammy. You're back. What up, Samara?
Look to this moment as the moment where the specter of a nuclear armed Iran ended. At the beginning of...
The funny thing is, like, Iran didn't really pose a threat to the United States. But they did pose a threat to a country that their leader has been advocating to attack Iran since the 80s. Not saying that they are linked, but, you know. Do we need to play the video now? No, we got banned last time we played the video. Do we need to really play the video of the secret press conference from Bibi and Trump? Is it time already to show you guys the press conference no one ever saw because it was censored? I have at my disposal the secret press conference of Bibi talking to Trump about Iran. Are you ready?
Oh, Donald, why haven't you attacked Iran yet? If you don't attack soon, I will release the Epstein files.
Okay, BB, I'll do whatever you want.
Why this picture, man? What picture? Daily Classic. Just to show that if anybody has any doubts why this war is fought. You wish. I don't wish to be on Trump's position. Like, I have a wife. Trump has a wife as well. So I wouldn't do that with Bibi though. I would probably turn around and it would be like from Street Fighter 2. The Shoryuken uppercut. Now I understand the Middle East situation, thank you. That is disgusting and disrespectful. For whom? You will get your day. What you're talking about? Are you threatening me? That's so fucking weak and pathetic. User long numbers, and I can see you're kind of an elderly person though. So I might not say too bad things to you, but that's kind of pathetic though. Threatening people on the internet because I say something bad about your idol. How do you feel about Iran funding regional terror groups? Like, the terror groups in Middle East has done a lot of work on destabilizing and making the Middle East more dangerous to civilians and other countries. In my opinion, Hezbollah, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, all of those should be eradicated. And anyone who funds them also. So that would include Qatar, that would include Iran. Okay, next question. I would also say that before anyone gets the wrong idea, Netanyahu should be tried for crimes against humanity and war crimes and should be sentenced. At the same time, you're getting rid of Hamas and Hezbollah and ISIS, and you could get rid of Boko Haram in Africa. And if that day ever comes, that Netanyahu is tried for crimes against humanity or war crimes, I would fucking fly there, and I would be celebrating there. And then I would just say to anybody who says that how can you celebrate a thing like that? People were celebrating on the streets in Iran when Ayatollah was killed. So people celebrating when Netanyahu is sentenced for war crimes and crimes against humanity, that's a good thing because people are celebrating. Because that is the measurement we are using now. It's not whether years from now the people are actually in a better place. No, who gives a fuck about like facts and stats? What matters is how many people are celebrating immediately. Just like in Iran, just like in Iraq, just like in Libya, just like in Syria, when people were celebrating and chanting that the US is liberating them. And now look at them. USA did jack shit to them. I think that Iran attack is for two reasons. One, distraction from Epstein files. Two, BPND wanted the oil. Yes. There might be a third one. There might be a third one. I think the third one might be that Iranians said something bad about Trump, and they called Trump's admin the Epstein regime. So that's a bad thing to say for a person who has an ego of a fucking glass house. Iran now is you town, you people, man. Iran over Israel. What? Remember with this USA free only, more strong, more oil. That makes no sense. What is three? Third one is that Iran made fun of Trump.
Destroy the regime's deadly ballistic missiles and completely raze their missile industry to the ground. Number 2, annihilate the Iranian regime's navy.
USA and Israel last battle is Islam. Well, rage bait. Oh, okay. I saw your username and I decided to shut the fuck up. Epstein victims need people held accountable. 100%. People are still not held accountable who participated. Epstein is old stuff. Who the fuck said that Epstein is old stuff? I hope, JP Hinton, you don't have any kids for yourself. Like, as long as there's people, there are people who aren't investigated and sentenced and fucking convicted and sent to the, I don't know, CSAT in El Salvador for being in the inner circle of a child sex trafficking ring, a ring full of pedophiles. It's not old news. As long as there are people still walking around that were in the inner circle, who were clients, it is definitely not old news. Rage bait, you're cursed with this name now. Well, at least the Republicans are tired of winning special and midterm elections. What? Well, at least the Republicans are tired of winning special and midterm elections. Midterms aren't happening yet. They conquered everyone except Muslim countries.
And so far, we have destroyed more than 20 Iranian ships, including their top submarine line.
Some might say that Trump started Iran because midterms are coming. But yesterday, I don't remember who it was from you guys. Yesterday, somebody said that, hey, if we can preemptively attack a country because they were going to attack us, allegedly. Can't we do a preemptive midterms? So instead of waiting to the fall, we do a preemptive midterms now. That would be fun.
Last night, using a torpedo for the first time since World War II.
Preemptive midterms in a week.
There is not a single Iranian ship underway in the Arabian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, or the Gulf of Oman.
Great idea.
Number 3, war and violence. Senior
The traditional speech to the nation part of
embassy in Lebanon ordered non-emergency so that the U.S. military.
Before the strikes this weekend.
Again, I just laid out for you that there have been plans in place and that the State Department has been very clear to
My guy's dying.
people traveling within this region.
I mean, slowly but surely, there's a lot of MAGA people who realized that, oh my fucking god, I was part of a cult. And they come to their senses, which is good. More and more people have realized, even like popular podcasters and social media influencers, especially in Twitter, you see it more and more that MAGA are starting to fight each other. Yeah, Deanne Keeley, I think the normies of MAGA, it's gonna take a bit more for them because they have, you know, less to lose. A lot of our independent voters are ex-MAGA and Republicans. I mean, I think it would be great for America and great for the people in the United States to finally realize that, oh my fucking god, that is a cult. I belong to a cult, and I'm a dumbass. I need to change my ways. The sooner you guys do that, the better. And I'm not saying any of you guys are MAGA, but if there is any MAGA there, you still have hope though. USA started to break the world laws when Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi were captured. I mean, no offense, but USA had broken international laws before that. Plus, many can't admit they were duped. That is one big issue East Coast don't, because a lot of MAGA voters they don't have any personality outside that cult, because their personality is tied into that cult, and especially their cult leader. So they can't really admit that they're hollow, you know, they don't have anything in. Lovable Stoner, what's up? My entire extended family is MAGA and they love what he is doing. Exactly. And then when you criticize Trump for an obvious lie or whatever they are doing, which is, for example, attacking a country based on a foreign interest group, they don't see that you're pointing out that their leader is doing something wrong, and they should also think that it's wrong. You're attacking them personally because their personality is linked to the leader of MAGA. You seen Operation Furry? Yes, I did see Operation Furry. The MAGA true believers of the cult aren't capable of acknowledging this at all. That is true.
Not to travel to these regions, we gave
Al Jazeera is putting out more true news. What is Al Jazeera putting out?
Americans were within, and unlike the previous administration, we actually have a number. We actually have identified the number of people in the region who have requested help. We are in direct contact.
Republicans had legit differences before MAGA.
There's a few thousand people who have requested.
This is something that my wife is probably the only person in this chat can actually remember, but back in 2015, when MAGA was created by Donald Trump and when Donald Trump was going for the first term, I predicted back then that there will never be a Republican Party anymore. There is only going to be MAGA and Trump's party. And if you don't align with him, you will never be in politics. And it is sad, but it is also funny to be true after 10 years seeing that there is not a Republican Party anymore. And we see it all the time throughout the last year, for example. Republicans who stepped out of line were ostracized and pushed out of the party, pushed out of power. It is sad that I was true. I knew that. But I could see that. Because when MAGA was created, you could clearly see that this is going to spiral out of control. And there is never going to be a Republican Party anymore.
Requested assistance to come home in comparison to the millions
MAGA still
who
can't
understand our
grasp
government.
that they are advocating for their
We will
own
help
oppression.
Every single American who wants to come home, if they're making that.
Will Fetterman be pushed out of the party? I don't think Fetterman will be pushed out of the party. Fetterman probably won't be re-elected, though. Fetterman has kind of proven his allegiance. His allegiance isn't to the United States. His allegiance is to Israel. That's the main issue. And because Trump is for Israel, Fetterman is for Israel. No, Fetterman is for Trump. That is not even a conspiracy theory. Fetterman has put Israel first every fucking time.
At request of the State Department.
Americans who called the State Department hotline as recently as last night were being told, we can't help you, you have to make your own plans.
Well, the line was updated, and I expect every single person in this room to report on that accurately, so that information way and end their pathway to nuclear weapons. Considering and for you on congressional asks from to get things done as quick that we know of, Sean, and the Department of War is investigating.
What would they be?
On defense
All right,
contractors.
this is gonna be a fun little conversation from Caroline Lloyd, and I'm gonna have a conversation with Caroline Lloyd in the past.
This country to rapidly and aggressively produce American-made weapons because they are the best. Go ahead.
There we go. Now it's started.
Go ahead.
Caroline, could you tell us about the president's current thinking about ground troops and whether they could be
Oh, not this one.
were to be sent in elementary school and kill?
There we go.
Did the United States airstrike a girls' elementary school and kill 175 people?
Not that.
So the reporter asked if the United States attacked the girls' school in Iran, and here's Caroline Lewitt's answer.
We know of, Sean, and the Department of War is investigating this matter, and I would just tell you very strongly, the United States of America does not target civilians, unlike the rogue Iranian regime that targets civilians, that kills children, that has killed thousands of their own people in the past several weeks, and uses propaganda quite effectively. And unfortunately, many people in this room have fallen for that propaganda. So I would caution you from pointing the finger at the United States of America when it.
I will caution everyone when it comes to this war to be wary of that. You have 3 countries at the moment that do, every single one of those countries do the exact same thing. They lie, they use propaganda, they attack civilians, kill children, kill women. United States track record in the Middle East, you don't really want to open that can of worms, do you? So United States military is still the United States military. They don't have a good track record of like avoiding civilian casualties. IDF is probably the reigning champion for the past 3 years of killing children and women, innocent lives. Iran's regime is no fucking poster boy for being a good regime. They have killed their own citizens relentlessly, and they would be willing to kill a school full of girls if it forward their agenda. So we have 3 different regimes here. We have Trumpy, we have Bibi, and we have the Iranian regime. All of them are willing to kill children and civilians to advance their agenda. All of them has done it in the past. And all of them lie. All of them use propaganda. So what can you believe? That's a good question. What can you believe? The fact of the matter is the girls' school was attacked, and the death total has risen quite a lot. America needs to stay out of people's business and worry about what's happening right here in America. Putin and Netanyahu, you haven't heard nothing from Putin. This is all bullshit. They hate all of them. Nothing of news or official is to be believed. Especially because you have countries that like completely fabricate Almost everything they spout out, especially if you have a conflict like this, you have a war like this. I wouldn't trust a word that comes out of any of those fucking countries' mouth. He's the same guy who said that the US struck a school. In reality, it was Iran. You have proof, like 100% proof of that. I didn't say US struck. Oh, no, whoa, realist. I didn't say the US struck. I said Israel struck. Are you talking that the IDF and the United States are the same thing? I said that the IDF struck. It's easy for the US to get involved. They never get bombed. That is true. And that's why a lot of people in America is like really distant when it comes to like suffering and such. Hexet and DT are lying about everything. Oh yeah. What is the new theme song of...
All hands hoist and draw nigh. Gather round me with me cider as we sing of dementia Donny.
Oh, I need to listen to that. How about Iran? What about Iran? I already said that you can't trust Iranian's government of any like information to be 100% credible. I'm just going to peek my head into the room for a second and say, as an American, fuck America. I'm not going to say fuck all America, but fuck Trump. I think Trump is the most deranged and bad president that the United States have ever had. There's two things Trump is doing really good. Fighting the pharmaceutical companies, even though it's a bit of a joke, but still at least trying to fight the pharmaceutical companies, and also fighting the insurance companies. Those are things that I've been advocating for since the mid-2000s. Because I think the pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies are fucking normal citizens over. And that battle should have been already over. That they should have no power anymore. That's two things that Trump is doing good. Everything else, nah. Nah. If you can't trust Iran and you can't trust the USA, then why talk about it? Because it's happening. We can still see that it happened. Cody Prier. Like, we can still see that it happened. We can't trust... Why did you left out Israel? Cody Prier. That's kind of sus. You said that you left out Israel, even like from your sentence. Don't leave that out. Because they're masters of like this. They're the reigning like WWE champion when it comes to like killing children and civilians for the past few years. We don't even know what's happening if we don't trust any of them. Yeah. Lucky for us, we have like live footage from them. Yeah. Don't trust Israel or Iran. You want me to make a lot of people angry. One of the funniest things, war is never funny, but we're talking about Bibi Netanyahu. One of the funniest things was seeing Bibi Netanyahu giving a press conference where he was saying that Iran is attacking only civilians and Israel is different because we only attack military targets. I'm sorry, but anyone who watched that with a straight face, you don't understand irony and humor. God fucking damn it. The mass killer of civilians, women and children, even fucking babies, journalists and medical professionals. The bringer of death, Bibi Netanyahu, saying that they don't target civilians is hilarious. The Iran Monitor is a good site. Iran Monitor kind of brings you all the possible news all the time. One of the best comments on below that video was, maybe Bibi Netanyahu, Israel and the IDF should not put use civilians as human shields if they don't want civilians to die. Cody Prew, US has had a history of targeting civilians. Whether it's like they're the most advanced army, like military force in the world. I don't take oopsies from the United States. I don't take oopsies from the United States. Oopsie. If it was, I don't fucking know. If we lived in the 1500s, I could take that oopsie maybe. Trump doesn't care who hits as long as he gets what he wants to. I mean, yeah. Technically, Israel lose 0 people in this war. LM, what's the technicality? What's the technicality? How delusional you have to be to think the US cares about civilians? I mean, normal citizens might think that you care about civilians. That's true. But the people in power, you're cannon fodder. You're expendable. That's why I'm always preaching about, like, we should be uniting each other instead of dividing. The reason why Trump and other leaders around the world can easily manipulate people to fight each other is because we are divided. We are on the same fucking boat. They don't give a fuck about us. I've said this so many times, I'm sounding like a preacher. You have more in common with your left-wing neighbor than you have with the politician who's ruling you. Normal or self-centered and ignorant people, they have to stop hiding behind privilege. Communist. Again, we have another person here who doesn't know what a communist is. That is actually wrong, since Americans are everywhere, not just in America. Can we confirm boots on the ground yet? I'm hearing a lot of conflict report. We don't have any reports on boots on the ground, but if they want a regime change, they need to put boots on the ground. So hopefully Baron Trump is in the front lines. That way the war would end instantly. Israeli forces carry out incursion shelling in southern Syria. Not Lebanon this time, not Iran, but Syria. Most left-wing people agree with career politicians in the USA, at least. As, like, what I said, Cody Prew, listen to it again. You have more in common with your left-wing neighbor than the politician that's fucking you in the ass. You're in the same shit together. Israel is at the moment like Danny DeVito in that one TV series. And then I just started blasting. Did they tell you they are also invading Iraq again? Pope is a bad guy. There was that one pope that was protecting those fucking pedophiles, but I don't think it's like that's something you can inherit. My friend from Iraq just said they are invading right now. I know, like, there was news already about United States and Israel trying to reactivate the Kurds in Iraq to fight against Iran. So they are using those proxy armies. High Roads, thanks for the follow. You have not said anything true yet, just talking nonsense. Then, Steve, you might want to listen a bit more. then you might want to listen a bit more. Iran didn't start this conflict. USA and Israel shoot first. That is true. That comes from Marco Rubio, that comes from Trump. Iran didn't start this. USA and Israel started this. Are we on the same page here? Yes, we are. USA shot first. Yes. Also, Hexet has mentioned that this is a war multiple times. Trump also referred to this as war. Even though Mike Johnson today tried to say that this is not a war, but be it Hexet and Trump kind of outclasses him. Oh yeah, sorry. The USA did not fire first. Trump fired first. You look depressed, boss. No. I'm depressed that a lot of people are going to die because of the creed of two persons. Americans don't share foreign policy with Israel. Yes, they do. Yeah, yes, they do. They share common interest in Middle East, especially. Don't you think they are waiting for some kind of 9/11 thing so they can go full bombing? I'm kind of depressed, but there's going to be so many civilians dying because of like the creed and ego of two people. Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. And all of those people, all of the civilians who die, and all of the service members as well. The blood is on Bibi and Trump's hand. I don't blame all Americans for this. I blame Trump. But then again, Trump is controlled by... I mean, at this point, who is not controlling Trump? Like, Trump is controlled by the oil companies, the military-industrial complex, by foreign interest groups. Like, I think there's more people pulling threads on Trump than there's actually, like, air around Trump. Citizens Paria, I've been talking about like how good the Iranian revolution was because the Ayatollah regime has been oppressing, treating citizens of Iran and torturing, killing them for decades. I think Ayatollah dying and the revolution of Iran is a good thing. Foreign countries intervening in their internal affairs isn't a good thing because we also, from time to time, we read history. We see how things go. So we have a proven track record of regime change not working. Why should I thank Trump? I will never do that. But you won't give Trump any credit for the toppling of Ayatollah? Which country are you in? Ireland. He was almost dead anyway. And nothing changes. Ayatollah died, now he's martyred. There are bound to be fans of him that are going to be riled up. And he has a predecessor already that they've selected. They have quite a few of them in a row. So killing Ayatollah didn't really do anything because the regime is still there. So if you think just killing Ayatollah is enough, it's a good start, but it is not a good, it's not all. Now the citizens of Iran should rise. He was eating something years old. We could have just waited for another 2 years. I love the freedom murals in Belfast. I cried when I saw them. Belfast is a beautiful city. I highly recommend going there. Yeah, but I don't like seeing Alicia killing themselves, combating such deeply ingrained ignorance. Do you think it was okay if Iran had nukes? I know I have to repeat myself because there's more people all the time. I don't think anyone should have nukes. In my opinion, it is wild that we live in 2026 and there's still so fucking many nukes all around. That is my opinion about nuclear weapons. But that is a utopia, because we have superpowers like China, Russia, and the United States who will never fucking give up nukes as long as the ruling parties are still in power. They will never give up their nuclear weapons. And because we live in the world that there are nuclear weapons, if Iran wants to have nuclear weapons, then Iran should have all the rights to have a nuclear weapon. Just like Israel, just like Pakistan, India, just like France, just like the United States, China, just like North Korea. Every fucking time I need to repeat this. Since some have them, all should have them. Who is gonna decide who doesn't and who has them, though? I'm all for getting rid of the nukes. 100% Silverfox. That is my... If you want to have a takeaway from here, that should be our goal, is to get rid of the fucking nuclear weapons. The USA will decide. I wouldn't trust USA deciding anything. Especially because, like, it is not an unbiased decision they're making. Do you think guns should be legal? Fuck no. Only for hunting. So technically, yeah. Only for hunting. Senator just asked Noam why she needs a jet with a bedroom. Well, she needs to fuck her interns. I think that's the reason. But criminals have guns, shouldn't everyone? I don't think anyone should have guns again, Cody. Well, how fucking hard is it to, like, understand? Feels like sometimes I'm speaking a different language.
Could you explain this?
Can you repeat it? Froze. I don't think anyone should have guns. Only for hunting reasons. If the criminal system in the United States or anywhere in the world works like it's intended to work, criminals wouldn't roam free. Like you said, that's a utopia. I know. Let a man dream. I hope when my daughters are adults, this utopia is reality. That's why I'm fighting for so hard to impact change, educate the youth, especially about their power, because the youth has so much power to change things. I've seen it here in Ireland. The youth are completely hopeless when it comes to their future. What's their life going to be in the future? Because the cost of living is so fucking high. The youth doesn't really see any escape. They can't really experience life until they're like 30, unless they're born with a silver spoon up their ass. Please pronounce your name for me, Alicia. So that's why it's important to educate the youth, because they are the power, they are the force behind everything that we can actually affect change. The other thing would be women. My opinion is that for the next 20 years, there shouldn't be any male leaders around the world. Every single one of them should be women. We've seen centuries of destruction, killing, mass slaughtering done by old men, sacrificing young people, young citizens. Old men deciding that we go to war and sacrifice the young. We need fucking women in power. Wish you a productive stream. Dealing with this troglodytes can't be fun. So, I mean, I have fun because I love discussing this douche. I mean, it's worth a try. Exactly. Like, that's the point. Men already used nuclear weapons, well, atomic weapons, back in Second World War. Men already have done so many genocides around the world, started so many wars. I would even say that for the next 20 years, like if we tested this, if women started one war, that would still be a fucking huge victory. That would be a huge victory. Stricter gun laws work. Look at the Swiss people, most guns person in the world. Doesn't Italy have a female prime minister? The issue with having, like, you can't really compare a prime minister of a country to, like, the power that the president of the United States have. Because the democracies in Europe are kind of built around checks and balances. One person doesn't hold a lot of power. It is spread out so that we don't have that one person abusing their power, you know? The Silver Fox, pleasure to meet you as well. So even though, yes, Finland had a female prime minister, also Italy has a female prime minister, the spreading of the power is super fucking important. We see it in the United States at the moment when you have a psychopath having unlimited power. And when they don't have unlimited power, they just invent some fucking loophole and use that. It's supposed to be that way in the US, but yes, exactly. I know. I've read about politics in the United States. That is the utopia that the political system in the United States should work. It isn't. It isn't working. The Swiss have to go through psychological testing, intensive weapon training, and they wait 1 year. The Silver Fox, thanks for the follow.
Sir, I'm looking at a picture of an interior. It looks like a bedroom.
Of an airplane.
Could somebody explain to me? We have a few, like, Republicans or right-leaning people here. Why is Kristi Noem and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi still in power? Why haven't you kicked them out? Why aren't you demanding that they should resign? Citizen Pariah, could you explain how Pam Bondi is effective in her job? Could you give me at least one example? How many Epstein perpetrators have Pam Bondi prosecuted? How many fraudsters? Did Pam Bondi investigate or prosecute Obama? Anybody? What Pam Bondi did was release the names, literally doxed the Epstein victims, which was the one thing they were not supposed to do. Her Department of Justice doxed Epstein victims. That should be an instant get the fuck out of that job. Kash Patel as well. One of the most fucking unqualified FBI leaders ever. Because they are being exposed. They are playing a role, they are guilty and made a deal. Bondi was on the plane. Kristi Noem especially. She couldn't even look at those victims. 100%. Bondi wouldn't even look at the victims in the courtroom. Actually, I voted for Trump and they should be fired. But I can tell you a thing about, like, why they are not being fired. Why Trump is willing to look over a lot of fuckery. Kristi Noem is a full-blown liar who every time she opens her mouth, it's a complete fucking lie. And also, possibly frauded hundreds of millions of dollars. That was also in the Congress hearing, talking about the expenditure they made a contract with the company that is so shady that if that is not investigated, that's a fucking crime. What the hell was it? And that is what Kristi Noem does.
The expansion of advertising in your department under your tenure, and I believe you testified regarding some of these matters yesterday in front of the United States Senate. In particular, I want to discuss the department's $220 million ad campaign. This is the ad campaign that featured you at Mount Rushmore. You're familiar with this.
Where the fuck do you spend $220 million for an ad? $220 million. That is waste and fraud. Where the fuck is Doge? Where the fuck is Elon Musk? Oh yeah, well, it's MAGA, so... Jeez,
This ad campaign, correct?
I am familiar with it. It was an ad campaign that was...
I'm going to ask you some questions about it, Madam Secretary. So, as I understand it, this is a $220 million ad campaign. It's split between two contractors. One of those contractors got $143 million. That contractor is called Safe America Media, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That company is affiliated with a former political director of the National Republican Congressional Committee. Now, yesterday you testified, I think I'm quoting you right, you said, quote, or in reference to this contract, that, quote, it went out to a competitive bid. Do you stand by that statement?
It was a no-bid contract where two vendors were...
It was a no-bid
chosen.
contract.
If it would have been a no-bid contract, if I'm using that correctly, it goes out to two different vendors.
Correct. So it was not a competitive... Let me try to explain what the discrepancy. Because a competitive bid is very different than a no competitive bid. And I'll just explain why. We know that your testimony yesterday, when you said, again, I'll quote, it went out to a competitive bid, is untrue. The reason we know it's untrue is because under federal law, your agency is required, whenever the agency decides to skip competitive bidding, to file a notice with the public explaining why. And in this case, your agency filed a notice. You're aware of that, right? Justification and approval for other than full and open competition. Your agency made a decision not to proceed with competitive bidding, and one of the contractors that got the award was this Safe America Media Company that received $143 million.
Many vendors got the chance to look at that contract and to participate in it. So that is why the two of them were chosen.
That's inaccurate, Madam Secretary. I'll read from the notice from your agency. Given the immediate action to significantly reduce illegal immigration and border crossings, DHS identified 4 companies. 4 of the hundreds of thousands of companies in the United States, you identified 4. One of those is this Safe America Media Company. Where is Safe America Media headquartered?
This is gonna be one of the most brutal conversations now. I urge everyone to listen, and this is why Kristi Noem should be kicked out from his current position. So, she was asked where one of those companies, Safe Media Company, headquarters is. And they got a contract for $140 million.
Don't know.
I don't know either, Madam Secretary. We can't find it. We can't find a website. We did find an address that's registered for this company. Do you know where that address is?
Is there a problem with this contract?
I'll tell you about it.
Madam
Secretary, the address...
Mama of 3. You want to talk about corruption, eh? You want to talk about fraud. Let's talk about fraud and corruption. You might want to look how many known fraudsters that frauded US citizens did Trump pardon last year, and even this year. Before starting this conversation. I'm always against fraud and corruption.
Registered to a political operative. Madam Secretary, the company, and then I'll give you an opportunity to respond. The company is registered to a political operative in Virginia. Do you know, just by way of example, whether this company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
The answer is it has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days. 8 days before this contract went out. You want the American people to believe that this is all above board? Yes, that $143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before, and is registered, apparently, or attached to a residence from a political operative. And of course, one of the subcontractors of that contract, as you know, is a political firm that's tied to you back when you were governor of South Dakota. The reason why I ask these questions is that
88 fraudsters. 88 fraudsters.
this is taxpayer money. And I presume, I don't know this for a fact, but Senator Tillis noted yesterday the way in which your agency is blocking the Inspector General from 11 different investigations that it is trying to conduct.
If you're really interested in about fraud and corruption, then you will be consistent, correct? Right? Mama of three, I can't take you seriously if you're just focusing on Minnesota's corruption and fraud, which I do agree. Anybody who's frauding the government should face consequences, whoever you are. But when you have a president that's willingly pardoning known fraudsters, if you're not willing to condemn that, we don't really have a conversation here, you know? I am all for putting fraudsters behind bars, but if you're not willing to put not only a PDF protector, but a fraud protector behind bars, I would recommend shutting the fuck up. If it's because Minnesota's, there's a lot of fraud in the Somali population in Minnesota, if it's because of skin color, I do understand that. Because a lot of people who are just pointing their fingers in Minnesota are just racist. That's the reason why they're not looking fraud everywhere. They're just pointing their finger in one direction because, oh my God, there's people who have different colored skin. Are you a racist? I'm not saying you are, but I'm just asking. If you're not interested in all the fraud that is happening in the United States, and you're only focusing on the Somalis in Minnesota, are you a racist? It's not just the Somalis, it's the government. Everybody who frauds the government. Whether it's the government themselves, for example, Kristi Noem. Mama of three, why? This is the thing that it's only like interesting about America. When I'm talking about United States, when I'm talking about what Trump is doing, what is happening in the United States, which is, as you know, everybody who's been here for a while, you do know that I know quite a lot of like even small things that are happening locally. The only people who are interested where I am is people who are in the United States, because for some reason they have this really backwards mentality when it comes to like global politics, that anyone who's outside of United States shouldn't talk about United States, which is baffling because like any European can vouch. Us Europeans follow global politics quite a lot because we also understand that whatever the asshat who's in power in the United States is doing, it is affecting the global political landscape. I wasn't saying you said it. I said that usually Americans are asking me where I'm from. What am I lying? You mean whatever decision Trump is doing is affecting global politics?
To the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out.
Because you constantly talk about elected president. Yes, because of what your elected president has been doing. You know, attacking Venezuela, stealing their oil, doing a regime change, really poor one, threatening Greenland. If your president would just shut the fuck up for a few weeks and concentrate on, like, I don't know, making America great like he promised, I wouldn't need to talk about this. But Week after week after week, he's just acting like a temper tantrum toddler. Threatening his allies, like then all of a sudden retracting those threats, then again threatening their allies. Those are affecting globally. So that is why I'm also talking about it. We talked about the Bangladeshi election results when they happened a few weeks ago. We talked about the DSA debacle with Elon Musk a few weeks ago. Sadly, you are badly misinformed. Please do enlighten me. I would love this. Please do enlighten me. What did I say that I'm badly misinformed? This is... Did you see yesterday Trump's speech about beautiful countries? I did see. I also shared that. Imagine that you have a leader, that you have a Medal of Honor ceremony, and also your service members in your fucking stupid war has been killed. And instead of having one ceremony about death and suffering and heroism in war, you made it about yourself again. Starting to talk about your fucking golden curtains. That's the narcissistic psychopath you have leading there. He can't even have one fucking ceremony celebrating somebody else. One. Have you ever seen him talk publicly that he doesn't turn to himself? You don't live here. Mama of three, now you're proving my point. I don't live there, but apparently I know more than you. You should have been here like when you had the two mass shootings on in Austin and Cincinnati, and while we were in live, there were a few hundred like Americans here, and I provided them an update that there's a mass stabbing in Virginia, and they didn't know about it. I know a lot of things when it comes to America. I've been reading about global politics for a long fucking time. Mama of three, please do it. Again, you're one of the instances where you should shut the fuck up if you don't have anything smart to say. Everybody has the right to their opinion, but sometimes you need to think first before you write something. You're one of those. First you play all nice and all of that stuff, and then I say something bad about your fucking orange orangutan, and then you get butthurt. You think Americans don't have freedom of speech? I didn't say that. It's in your constitution. It's the First Amendment, you know. According to your First Amendment, you have freedom of speech. But then you have an admin at the moment who is actually like joking about taking that freedom of speech away, that it should be criminal to criticize Trump. Bet you didn't remember this happened. It has happened quite a few times. Yes. Ever since Larry Ellison took over, Larry Ellison is controlling what is in TikTok. And it is affecting more on the United States side than the international side. That is not a conspiracy. That is being reported by many American users. That is infringing, quote unquote, your freedom of speech. Also, you have a foreign interest group lobbying to take control of all social media, what is being talked about, and making criticizing Israel or Bibi Netanyahu also criminal. Also, You have freedom of speech, but because you're letting people in power who doesn't have your best interest in mind, they are slowly but surely taking away your freedom of speech. My son is in Dubai and I'm genuinely worried about, is there anything new happened? Just a second, let's open iranmonitor.org. Our media constantly criticizes our government, and your president does its utmost to like get those medias banned. Hasn't been successful yet. Suing them all the time though. Doesn't sound... That is not called press freedom either. President is weaponizing the Department of Justice. But again, it is in your constitution, but I do say that you might want to look what your government is saying, even if it's a joke in your opinion. Iran foreign minister warns of a terrorist movement at border with Iraq. Israel claims to destroy numerous Hezbollah sites in Lebanon. Rubio speaks to Saudi Arabia counterpart about Middle East stability. Video show hit on IRGC base in Iran Kurdistan. Israel to ease some wartime restrictions. There's not that much like at the moment for the past 45 minutes about Dubai, but I know there was some like Dubai address loud blast. This is 1 hour ago. Yeah, sites air defense success. Authorities in Dubai say sounds heard in various parts of the emirate were the result of successful interceptions by the country's air defense systems. No casualties were reported. Did you ever play the board game Risk? Yes, I did. At least they have a constitution. Are you Dutch? No, I'm not Dutch. They are eliminating Haji terrorists daily, and it's great. You're the first person to call it like what it is, orangutan. I have many nicknames for Dozy Trump and MAGA Mussolini and Dementia Donald. You say Dutch with hatred. The fuck they do to you? No, I didn't. I didn't say with hatred. I have Dutch friends. Literally here in Ireland, though. But I did do one thing. I did do one thing for the Dutch. And I got a lot of shit from it. Not because I was wrong, but because I brought it into global light. I made a video about a tradition that's not that big anymore in the Netherlands, but it used to be a lot bigger. And I'm talking about Zwarte Piet. For English-speaking viewers, it's Black Pete, but Zwarte Piet. And I made a video about that. And I have to say, the Dutch didn't really take that well. They didn't like that I was bringing light to that old tradition, which is a batshit crazy tradition. I forgot about Zwarte Piet. Does anyone know about Zwarte Piet? Is there a Dutch person in the chat? You can prove. You can fact check me. I can give you a small summary about Zwarte Piet. Is there at least one Dutch person? I'm gonna try and remember how it went. So this is from the top of my head. You know a Dutch person. So Zwarte Piet is a helper of Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus, if you will. And if a child is misbehaving, Zwarte Piet abducts the child, puts him in a sack, takes it to Spain, and the child turns black. That is fucked up. That is fucked up. If you Google Netherlands Black Pete. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it went like that. Let me find the pictures from it. Zwarte Piet. It's like Krampus, but then again, it's not. Let me try, because there used to be pictures of... Yeah, here we go. Oh, that's a small picture. I'll open that in a new window, I'll show you guys. So, if you had misbehaving kids... Zwarte Piet would steal your child, those misbehaving child. Take them to Spain, and they would turn black. This is an old Dutch Christmas tradition that people are still... I think the one of the childs were like... oh my god. Instantly! TikTok flagged me that your live is not eligible for recommendation and restrictions in search results. Oh god. That was fast. That was literally... I had that picture for 5 seconds. Let me see what it did. Israel's gonna control the whole Middle East now. I don't think that's a good thing. Okay, now I'm again recommended. So... do I remember it? Yeah, they travel by boat to Spain. No, Zwarte Piet and Nicholas travels from boat to Dutch, and then Zwarte Piet takes the kids to Spain. You just hate Trump. Hate is a strong word. I don't really hate anyone. Do I feel like some people should be in jail? Yeah, 100%. Loath is a beautiful word, though. You're under extra investigation. Yeah, I think it's because, like, I talk bad about Larry Ellison, and also I'm not a huge fan of like, you know, killing children and innocent civilians and women.
See the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being...
Alice, did you say the same about our past leaders? Joe Biden wasn't really a leader. Joe Biden had like 12 months max from his 4 years that he was at least somewhat aware. The last 3 years he was completely like out of it. The decline was so fucking sharp. Obama, 100% not a good president on his second term, especially. Like, everybody remembers the ice cages that he put the immigrants and migrants in. If you don't remember the ice cages, this is something that I followed back in the day, and I was criticizing Obama about putting children in small cages during the immigration process or for a prolonged period of time. they were literally storing immigrant kids in cages. Obama also killed US citizens by drones. Thank you for the sub, Salio. How about when Obama slaughtered Gaddafi's entire family and all the people? I don't think Obama striking Gaddafi or attacking Libya in general was a good thing. Like, that goes in line with me criticizing Iraq war and Trump and Syria as well. I'm not a huge fan of like United States participating in other countries' internal affairs and trying regime change. Especially because what Gaddafi was doing in Libya, some of the things, he was a ruthless dictator again, but some of the things Gaddafi was doing were like unconventional and good for the people. He was a ruthless dictator that fucking oppressed the citizens of Libya and also everybody who was not in line with him. But he did do a few, like, tried to do something great. People in America blame Trump, and that's how they found it was Obama. I mean, you just need to have some consistency, you know. I still go to the ICE protest. We have to stand up for humanity. If I was in the United States, I would go too. Trump is apparently coming to Ireland. I don't remember, was it like in the next few months? I'm gonna probably go and heckle him live. So I'm just gonna go and shout the most stupidest things ever. Probably make a huge like picture of holding a picture of Trump and Epstein. On Trump and Bibi. You should see my background. Well, if you watch my newest TikTok, you know what my background is. He's pro-protest, so he should be fine with it. I don't know. We've all seen the Ford factory video, right? We know Trump was involved with Epstein. You should go to the UK and do that to the king. I could. I'm fucking mad what Prince Charles did. Well, King Charles. Now he's king, but Prince Charles did to Diana. I could go to the UK, do that to the king, and it would be as okay as I'm gonna do that in... They would arrest you in the UK. They wouldn't, because that is protected under their free speech law. We had this... I think, Cody, I had this conversation with you last time. That you can make fun of the king. Or that was probably somebody else, but we had the exact same conversation, and I even fucking referenced the law that protects you. No, that was literally... When was that? I have to remember. I think it was a few streams ago. No, I looked up the UK.
Being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer. A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential. And that set them back very, very seriously. If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen.
What? You assume like the left wing that Trump is guilty with Epstein. I didn't say he was guilty. I said that he was an associate. That's a big difference. If you don't know the difference, you should shut the fuck up.
Didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. So we're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women. If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. So
some anti-monarchy protesters were arrested in 2022 after the Queen's death and 2023 at the coronation for things like holding "Not My King" signs or shouting "Who selected him." These were not for the criticism itself. They were under General Public Order Act rules for threatening abusive words likely to cause harassment, alarm, or distress or breach of the peace, usually because of the protest was right in the middle of a big royal event. Most people were quickly released. Many cases were dropped, and at least one high-profile case, Oxford 2022, the police later admitted the arrest was unlawful and paid compensation. These were politicizing decisions at the sensitive public events, not a blanket ban on criticizing the king. Threats or violence or incitement of harm is still illegal, which is not only for the king but everybody. But you are protected under Human Rights Act of 1998, Article 10 of the European Convention of Human Rights, which covers holding and expression opinions, including harsh criticisms and satire, insults, or calls to abolish the monarchy. People do this every day in newspapers or on social media, in comedy, in parliament, and through groups like Republic, which campaign openly for Republic. So, yeah, and as I read, like, they weren't so much so, like, saying that they weren't arrested because they had the "No King" signs. Not my king. They were arrested because of the fucking timing. In my opinion, as it also read that they were released quite soon, they did a mistake on that. They broke the law by arresting them.
very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women. If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack,
in 2023, there were a total of 12,183 arrests made. 1,119 people were sentenced. What's the law that they're resigning, though? For a range of offenses under the Communications Act 2003. Okay, let's see what that is. Oh, those posts were encouraging violence. What? Pam Bondi just subpoenaed for Epstein. What? Breaking, we're moving to subpoena U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Attorney General Bondi claims the DOJ has released all of the Epstein files. The record is clear. They have not. The Epstein case is one of the greatest cover-ups in American history. His global sex trafficking network is larger than what is being revealed. So it's almost always because the post crosses into specific criminal territory like threats, incitements to violence, harassment, or grossly offensive content intended to cause distress. Under Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003 and Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act 1988, that's roughly 33 arrests per day. These laws target messages including tweets, Facebook posts, WhatsApp emails, etc. that are grossly offensive, indecent, obscene, or menacing, or sent to cause distress and anxiety. Crucially, only around 1,119 people were actually sentenced, less than 10%. Many arrests end with no charge, a caution of the case being dropped. Numbers have roughly doubled since 2017, but convictions have fallen. High risk often leads to jail. Posts that incite violence or stir up racial religious hatred under the Public Order Act 1986 during the 2024 UK riots after the Southport stabbings. Dozens were charged and several jailed for Facebook posts encouraging attacks on hostels housing. Are we really having a conversation if those are okay? Inciting violence. I mean, if you want to be free speech purist, then yeah. But then again, if you're inciting violence and somebody does that violence, you should be held accountable for that. Right? For example, during the 2024 UK riots, when people were charged and several jailed for Facebook and posts encouraging attacks on hotels housing migrants or spreading false into a fueled unrest. So people encouraging people to attack hotels and riot. The people who are tweeting those, if we want free speech, should be held accountable because there's consequences for using your freedom of speech. You have the freedom to use your speech. Some speech might have consequences. You can't openly threat or incite violence, though. Try it. Doxing is another one. Offensive, I wasn't talking about offensive speech. Offensive is subjective. But if you're inciting violence, you should definitely be. Yeah, those grossly offensive posts, what are those? There are zero recorded cases of anyone being arrested purely for anti-monarchy posts online. For example, Not My King. We don't count that protest that they had during the inauguration. The handful of anti-royal arrests you might have seen 2022 to 2023 were for in-person protests signed right next to a big royal events under public order rules, not for tweets or Facebook posts. Furra babies, thanks for the follow. Minnesotans are being attacked by ICE and their own police and were peacefully protesting. Yeah, that is infringing your First Amendment rights, because First Amendment in the United States also constitutes the freedom to protest. Wait a fig. Whoa. Citizens Pariah, could you expand a bit. I'm not too fond of like you threatening other people in the chat. I don't know I mean, there's probably rules for those public events, especially when it comes to the royal family. There's probably special rules for those. In my opinion, the whole royal family should be abolished. No, Citizens Pariah, could you elaborate a bit? You're threatening the chatters here. So could you elaborate a bit? Instead of going ad hominem, could you elaborate, like, why are you threatening others? Hopefully you're ready for what is coming and not just blowing smoke online. Is that out of context or... ...45 out of our presidents are all related. Okay. I'll do all... Here in my chat, you have freedom of speech to the point that you're insulting other chatters or you're threatening or attacking other chatters. You can have a civil conversation. If you want to threat, insult, or whatever, I'm your guy here. So instead of directing it to each other, you can direct any piece of hate you have towards me. But immediately when you start harassing other chatters, instead of like conducting a rational conversation with them, that's when I have an issue, because I want the chat to like, I want different opinions in the chat to be able to have a conversation with each other without like going ad hominem and attacking each other. And also, if you spam is technically protected. It is not harassment or threatening to spam, but I don't like it. Okay, get back to the topic, please. We'll do one roundup. What did I... Oh, yeah. So, the Oversight Committee is just voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the Epstein case. This is huge news, and this is again something that we're gonna follow. Your chat, your rules. It is annoying. Airstrike targets apartment building in Beirut southern suburbs. Hezbollah said it fired second barrage of rockets at Israeli forces in Qiyam. Hezbollah said it launched another rocket barrage at Israeli forces in southern Lebanese town of Qiyam. I hate it because I have friends in Lebanon. It's because of Hezbollah and the fucking IDF. Could we just get rid of those both? Is that too much? Could we just get rid of like IDF, Hezbollah, Hamas, everybody? Both sides are so fucking trigger happy. So instead of like trying to coexist, what if we just, you know, make that a trial of utopia, where everybody, like, you know, this was my idea long ago, and I still stand by it. Remove the government of Israel, remove the IDF, remove Hamas and the government of Palestine. Make one country unified where everybody is equal and can live how they want to. It is protected by the UN and whoever country wants to protect. And that would be like a peaceful zone that no one breaches. That would take foreign intervention. That would be literally foreign intervention, which I am against. But I am willing to bend the knee to stop the death. Walking, talking, contradictory now. Because no parties in that conflict are willing to budge. And then you have the other side that is funded. We all do it. This is kind of this is the difficulty here. Like, we kind of need to have force in order to get peace, but then again, using force usually means civilian casualties. But here's my olive branch. Here's why I think it's not completely contradictory, because I think that could be achievable without bloodshed. I think we could achieve, as an international body, the separation of those two without bloodshed. How? You know the old-fashioned that shoo, get out, go to jail, you know? If all the countries come there at the same time, arrest everyone and just lead them to jail, that never works. I mean, we could try. Throw all leaders in a pit of snakes. Are we in the fucking Viking era now? There is more of us than them in the government. We all rose together and the man changed, maybe. Oh yeah, I do agree that. Like, if we really want change, we should all just band together and rise up. I want to believe, Cody, that at some point we could just live in like understanding without bloodshed. I hope that one point in the US, it's supposed to happen March 15 in DC, hopefully also. I hope that one day there are more rational people than there are irrational people. I agree, but that's utopia, my friend. That is true. That is unfortunately true. I do have to say that I'm not lobbying for any politician because I want to see what they do, but I ran into one politician, a young millennial like me, mid-30s, that made me hopeful, and I kind of felt like this guy plagiarized everything I said, because I listened to this guy yesterday, and I was like, wait a fucking second. Those are the things that I'm talking about. You should shut the fuck. Those are my topics.
When I first ran for office, I was a 28-year-old public school teacher, and I was running in a Republican district as a Democrat. And so I had to knock on literally every door in order to get elected. And I was trying to talk to my fellow young people. I'm a millennial. I was also trying to talk to Gen Z. And I kept hearing this refrain, I'm not interested in politics. And at some point, I was just honest with them. I said, you may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. Mm-hmm. You may not care about politics, but your boss at work cares about politics. Your landlord cares about politics. Your insurance company cares about politics. And until you care about politics, they're going to keep using the political system to screw you over. Barbara Jordan, a great Texan, had this quote where she said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so the argument I'm making with this claim is if young people in particular aren't at the table in this election, we will continue to be on the menu.
This is exactly, for example, Cody, you probably heard me say this many times today, but I've been preaching about this for a long time, and it's kind of refreshing to see that there's a politician that actually talks to talks to the youth in a way that it's easy to make them understand that if you turn a blind eye to politics, the people who are interested in politics will abuse you and use you. And that is an important message for everybody. And he put it out there like, you'll be on the menu. It is. It's the same thing that, like, we could talk about the issues with the SAFE Act if you want to at some stream. I love politics, but if somebody comes to my home, I probably wouldn't entertain them. True, but I guess that's a thing in the United States. Like, I do think that voter ID is a good thing, but anyone who's read the SAFE Act and think that's all about voter ID, they're misinformed, or they don't understand. There is such a huge threat in the SAFE Act written that it actually is, unless they change how you get governmental ID, SAFE Act can be harmful for tens of millions of voters, legal voters, who have ID, but they don't have the appropriate ID because they don't fucking travel. Same as Jehovah's Witnesses. I listen to the Jehovah's Witnesses as well, even though I'm not a religious man. So I do listen to the Jehovah's Witnesses because, like, I just want to hear some stories if I'm not in a rush. A lot of people can't afford passports. It's different like in Europe, where a passport is literally, well, I can't talk about every European country, but where I got my passport, it was 55 euros. 55 euros, and I needed to wait for 2 weeks. My American friend was flying from North Carolina to Ireland. He needed to fucking apply months in advance for a passport. I think he said it costed almost $1,000. The whole process. Because you need to queue up even though you... because you need to go there in person to get a passport, which is not the thing in Finland. You could just order it. Because if you have a driver's license, you can get a passport as well. But like, there was some issue with the local, the office that he went, because he needed to go there like 2-3 times. So I was just baffled because I remembered how much my passport cost. And the funny thing is, how long their passport is valid is shorter than what our passport is valid. If I remember correctly. It's still years, but it's like, I think it was like 1 or 2 years less. Right, I was just stating the picture passport itself, not the paperwork. You're right, over 1,000. Because he needed the whole fucking paperwork thing, because he was also working in Ireland, so he needed that working visa in Ireland. So there was a lot of like, and that was only for 5 days. Do you think a regular ID to vote is bad? There's like, I think driver's license should be enough, but in the United States, your driver's license isn't valid for an ID. For example, in Finland, you can vote with your driver's license. You can vote with your personal ID, governmental ID. You can vote with your passport. But in the United States, you have states that their driver's licenses don't have your age. They don't have the necessary information to be considered a valid ID. Under the SAFE Act, there are criteria for the ID, so driver's license wouldn't be counted towards it. Keep in mind they cut government capacity and service levels. Most married women in the US will not have their birth certificates matched perfectly with anybody else. No. This is the issue with the SAFE Act. It's not applicable immediately to all states. But we can talk. Let's talk about the SAFE Act when we have our first break day of Iran war, because it's already 10 o'clock in the evening, and you guys know I'm a 9-to-5 worker, so I need to go to sleep. God damn it! I'm not young anymore. I'm turning 37, so I need my beauty sleep. You guys know, like when you hit that like over 35, you're starting to ache every fucking day. No worries. But we'll continue to talk about with the SAFE Act, because it is a nuanced issue as well, and it is an important topic. As you said, voter ID is an important thing, but I think acquiring ID should be made as easy as possible for the citizens, because everyone should want as many people voting as possible. Had to have all that info for real ID, but saying that won't work for voting. It is if your ID doesn't match because you're married. And because you might change the surname and so forth. Exactly. All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for keeping me company. Thanks for having a civil conversation. There was a lot of new faces here and some old ones, of course. Today I wasn't as suppressed as I was previously, so that's a good thing. Sweet dreams, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks a million.